The Early Development and Inclusion Team advisory teachers have had a bit of a focus this half term on visual support, and we've been bringing around a visual audit sheet to go through with you the types of things that you might have available in your setting as just good ordinarily available provision. And the first three of these are a group visual timetable, individual visual timetables, and now next. So this is my group timetable, which I've got just attached to a ribbon with Velcro on it, that's then attached to a string going across the room. So quite easy to put up. I've made it by increasing the size of the images that I've got on my individual visual timetable. Lots of you have got these create visual aids images, or ones that you've made using Widget Online or something similar. This is about the size that you're going to need, because when you give a whole group instruction, the idea is that you also point to a visual. We all are aware that visuals are really helpful for children with communication difficulties, with social communication differences, with a range of needs. They're really useful and really good practice. And yet what I've seen an awful lot in and out of settings this half term is when a transition is due to be made, a practitioner will gain the attention of the children by standing up in the middle of the room perhaps, or to the side of the room, and will gain their attention and say, right, now it's time to go outside, go and get your coats, or now children, it's time for lunch, go and get your lunch boxes. And then children will begin to action that. But another really good piece of practice for children with additional needs, and I think all people actually, is to give a warning. Just think of my own example of one of my kids coming to me and saying, Mum, right now, this minute, I need you to get in the car and give me a lift to my friend's house. And how different that feels to, Mum, in 5 minutes, could you get into the car and take me to my friend's? I think we all need warnings, and we actually all need a little bit of planning time about what's going to happen after that as well. So we all like to have a sequence in our head of what's next and then what comes later. And the whole group visual timetable is brilliant for that. So giving a whole group instruction, all you're doing is tweaking your practice just slightly. So your whole group visual timetable ideally would be somewhere really visible in the room, so that wherever the children are playing, they can see it if you stop them, and then you can point to the image. If that's absolutely not possible and you've got a really quirky sized room, then you might have to take off the image and stand somewhere where everybody can see what you've got in your hands. But something like this would happen. You would stop the children and say, in 5 minutes, play is going to be finished. Next, it's time for snack. And that also gives a warning to your other members of staff, to the other practitioners in the room. Because I think we all experience getting really involved with play with the children, with what we're doing, and we may have lost track of time. So if somebody all of a sudden says, right children, stop, it's time to go outside, and we know that we have a child who needs an individual prompt, we don't have time to do that if we've been really engaged in what we're doing and we've kind of lost track of time, or we didn't know that was going to happen at that moment. So it gives each of the practitioners in the room a warning that now they need to go and get individual visual timetables to show to key children who require that individual instruction. And actually lots of children will benefit from seeing you do this. So you would go to key children who require this, and you would just give the same instruction again individually. In 5 minutes, play is going to be finished. Next, it's snack time. And then there are the children who are going to find that transition really difficult. And for them, you're going to use a now next approach. Lots of you have got Now Next boards. What I'm finding is that practitioners are telling me that all the different bits of kit, the individual visual timetable, the Now Next boards, the photographs of enticing toys, they're all a bit of a juggle. So we've come up with a couple of tweaks to try and help with this that I've been trialling a little bit in different settings and have worked well. So the first tweak is possibly using your individual visual timetable to do Now Next with. So you see I've left a little bit of this, a bit of space at the top of mine so that I can move my activity up. So this is the one that's going to be finished in 5 minutes, play. This is the one that's going to come next, snack. But for a child that I know is not going to transition from play to snack very easily, I'm going to give a next, which is a bit more enticing. So you can do this, of course, using your photographs of enticing toys. But if it's feeling quite difficult to juggle all those photographs and get the right toy in the right place at the right time, another tweak that we've made is instead using one photograph of an enticing toy bag, which relates to my drawstring bag in which I've got various toys that I might use for Now Next, like for example my poppet or my elephant fan or my little wind-up torch. And I would rotate the items in that bag to keep them fresh and keep them enticing. Otherwise children are going to lose that sense of curiosity in finding what's in the bag. So keep it enticing, but then you can use just a single photograph of the enticing toy bag to prompt children through that transition. So for them, you would be going to them and saying, in 5 minutes, play is finished, next, bag, or next, what's in the bag? And it's possible that actually you might need to not have the other images at that point. Maybe you just need now and next, and then when play finishes, you would take play off, that's finished, and you would reveal that now is enticing bag, next is snack. Whereas lots of children actually find it really useful to see a little bit more of what's going to happen next, because then they can also see that maybe they're not very interested in snack, but actually after that it's outdoor play, and that is appealing. So you're going to judge that depending on your child's needs. When an activity's finished, take it off. I'm storing mine on the back. I've just put some extra Velcro so that I'm keeping it all in one place. And in the case of the whole group visual timetable, when you give the whole group the prompt that play is finished, you would take it off and put it in a finished envelope or box, and then you can say, now time for snack. And at that point, you would take individual visual timetables to the children who need them and give them that individual instruction again. Now play is finished. It's time for snack. And hopefully that's enough for them to come to the snack table. And for those children who need that a little bit of extra, you would go to them and say, play is finished. Now time for bag. And the way that I would do it is I would show them the bag, but I would try to get them in situ at the snack table before they got their hand into it. So I would be leading them along. I'd take the bag and hopefully they're following it, or I would be really curious myself about what's in the bag and hopefully bring that curiosity. And I would try to get them sat down, sitting for bag, and then they can get the item out, and they can even be exploring that while perhaps they're waiting a few minutes for their snack to arrive. So I think the key things are keeping what's on the whole group visual timetable very simple. keeping what's on the individual visual timetable very simple, using now next as appropriate, and then thinking really carefully about what is actually essential for the children to do. So I think it's quite likely that before snack you might have most of the children washing hands. So for most of the children, at the time that you say play is finished, now it's time for snack, you might hold up an additional image, or you might just say, remember, wash your hands. So you might have an additional image with hand wash on it, and children will quickly go to hand wash and snack. If there are then children who actually the real priority is getting them to transition from play to snack, could there be the option of them coming straight to the snack table and maybe giving a hand wipe using a flannel or a wet wipe? Really keep to the key things that you need children to do. And equally, there's potentially going to be a need for individual now next boards for parts of the day that are not on your whole group visual timetable. So for example, taking a child to the toilet or for a nappy change, you might use your individual now next board for that. Now nappy change, next elephant fan, or next bag again, because obviously you can use the bag image more than once, which does make it quite a practical solution. But remember, whenever you're doing any visual prompting, it's really good practice to give that warning of 5 minutes. Some children, it's really great to give them a 5-minute and then a 2-minute warning. So that's a whistle-stop tour through the first 3 of our items on the visual audit for visual prompting: whole group visual timetable, individual visual timetables, and now next. I hope that's been helpful.